everybody, this is Allie. Welcome back to my channel Color Mama 360. It's time for another video, so good morning, good night, good middle of the night, depending on when you're watching. Today I'm doing something that may spark some opinions, may get you a little fired up. Please note that that is not my intention. Today I'm going to be talking about books I would not rebuy as a beginner. So these are just my opinions based on kind of the past year when I really got in more and more into coloring on books that I probably wouldn't repurchase as a beginner. Now, as I'm kind of starting to move out of that super beginner period, I do definitely feel like some of these books are more applicable for me now, and some I'm still very much intimidated by. So, we're going to go through some of the books that I would personally not buy again as a beginner. And then if you stick around to the end, I'll talk about some books that I would. Again, this is not shaming the illustrators. All of the artwork is lovely in all of these books. They're just ones that for me personally, I probably would consider buying later on in my coloring journey. So let me move these out of the way and let's get started. Okay, so before we get started by talking about the first book that I have to show you today, I want to just briefly touch on what I mean when I say beginner. I will probably at some point do a video just kind of detailing my coloring journey in a little bit more detail if you're interested. But basically, the quick synopsis is I have colored on and off for years. I remember way back when Claire, with Coloring with Claire, was just getting started. I would watch her videos and I really just would go on and off as far as coloring goes. Sometimes I would do it, then I'd go through a long time of not. At one point, I got rid of a lot of my books. And it wasn't really until probably around a year to a year and a half ago that it kind of stuck. I did go through kind of a longer slump last year around this time of the year, but even before that, it was kind of sticking and I picked it back up within a couple of months. So that is what I mean by beginner. I really have just barely started sticking with it over the past year to year and a half. And that's when I've kind of started to cultivate my collection. I've gotten a better idea of what I do and don't like to color and what things I find more difficult than others. So just wanted to briefly put that out there because I know that beginner might mean something different for other people, and that's what it means for me today. So, starting off with books that I would not buy again as a beginner, we have Mythographic Wild Summer by Joseph Catabang. Now, I love this book. That is the reason that I have kept it as long as I have. There was a period of time when I was like, if I don't color in this by this date, I'm going to destash it. And I did color in it. I started a page, which is currently a whip that I'm hoping to get back to as soon as possible, but it is this page. So this is the only page that I've started. And I've started to kind of get a better idea. I do feel like this is one of the less busy pages. It's somewhat simpler. I know what is what. And so I felt like it was easier to color. But one of the reasons I wouldn't purchase this again as a beginner and would probably wait until further on in my coloring journey, because it's a beautiful book and I definitely would still want to own it, is because the pages are so detailed and it is really hard sometimes to tell what's going on and what is what, at least for me. Um, I love the way that Joseph Catabang draws in kind of the light rays, but I also am just not very good with light sources like that yet. So that feels really intimidating. Um, I will say there are a lot of these pages that don't require like thinking too much about a background, which is nice because that feels intimidating to me sometimes as well. But I think it's just the uniqueness of the pages, like figuring out what is what and trying to find colors and making things look cohesive just feels very intimidating to me. And while I love this book, I would probably wait until further on in my coloring journey before purchasing it because I think I would be um, more excited to color in it. Right now, it still feels a little intimidating. I'm hoping that I get that whip done soon so that I can have a completed page in here and that will hopefully inspire me to do more. So that is the first book on my list. The second book on my list is one of my favorite books, but it's also a book that I would probably not repurchase as a beginner. I would again wait until further on in my coloring journey. It's Fairy Tales and Folklores by Emily Leader Hall Oberg. And I think that I still just haven't quite figured out how to color her style. Now, I love it. There's so many pages I love in here. I'd love to color this one, but then I overthink and worry about ruining it. And I'm like, but I love it so much, I don't want to ruin it. And there's so many pages like that in here that I look through and I'm like, oh, I want to color that and that and that. But I just haven't really figured out her. No, I did do this one, her style yet. This is probably, I do like the way that this one turned out, but there was still a lot of learning that happened on this page. Um, and a lot of it is the paper, and lots of people have talked about this. So the very first page I did was this one with Prismacolors, and it just, the Prismacolors were so hard to work with on this paper that really turned me off from doing another page in here for a while. But I did come and do another page. I'm not sure where I have another completed page in here too. I also have one that I'm working on. Oh, it's right here. So I did come in and do this one, and I want to say that this was maybe still with Prismacolors. I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't learn my lesson. Let's see. It says in my tracker here. It says Prismacolors, so I probably didn't learn my lesson. However, I do like the way that this one turned out. And now the whip that I'm working on, I can give you a little sneak peek. I based first with Tombows, and now I'm going over the top with pencils, and we'll see how that goes. So far, it's been interesting experience. Let's just leave it at that. So we'll see how that works, but I do think that the paper has made me feel a certain way about coloring in this book, and I do think that as a beginner, like, I didn't do a whole lot of basing until more recently, and I didn't understand really how different mediums work on different paper and things like that. So I think that if I had picked up this book maybe a little bit closer to where I'm at now, which, as you can see, I'm starting to experiment with other mediums and stuff like that more, I would have been more successful in this book as far as getting more pages done. So that is the second book on my list. Next is The Flower Year by Layla Dooley, and I've talked about this one a lot. I'll try to not spend too much time on it. But again, I just get really intimidated by these pages. I'm not really sure where to start. They're so realistic that I think that this book has taught me I'm not super drawn to coloring hyper realistic things. And so while the art style is beautiful, I definitely think that I would wait on this one. And I don't know if I would repurchase this one. Probably not where I'm at now, but maybe in the future as I continue to get more experience, I would repurchase this one again. I did think about destashing this one for a while too, but I don't know that you can get this copy anymore. And I do think that maybe in the future, I'll feel more drawn towards more realistic things as I get better with my coloring. So that's The Flower Year by Layla Dooley. Next is another book I've talked about before. It's Looking for the Bell of Happiness. I always forget who this one is by. Naji Ku. Not sure if that's saying it right. I really liked the idea of this book. However, the art style, I think is maybe not for me. I think the way that it's illustrated, it has a lot of big spaces. Um, like, there's details too, but there's also just a lot of big spaces that I'm not very good at. And I think what I liked about this book was kind of this journey of this cat. And as you know, I love Leon's journey, which I got after this book. And I think that Leon's journey better fulfilled what I was hoping for in getting a book like this. So I do think that I probably will end up destashing this one. I just don't see myself coming to it more than Leon's Journey, and they are kind of similar books, but different art styles. And I'd have to say that Kanoko's is a little bit more my style than the style that I like to color. So I don't know the best way to de-stash books and get them to people that will show them the love that they deserve. I'm still trying to figure that out, but if it's something that you're interested in, you can message me on Instagram and we can try to figure it out together if you're interested in getting this book. And that's Looking for the Bell of Happiness. Next is a book that I've talked about a lot on the channel too, as far as being intimidating. It's Romantic Gothic, the London Sirasaki coloring book. I've already talked a lot about why I'm intimidated by this book, just the small, tiny details. Um, Also, kind of the anime style girls, I'm not really sure how to color. Um, yeah, I do think that this is a book I need to start putting a time frame on. If I'm not going to color it by a certain time, then it will need to go as well. So I don't think I'm quite at the point yet where I'm ready to destash this one, but I do have a page marked for spring. I think if I don't end up getting to that page, it may be time to let this one go as well. And I probably just wouldn't repurchase this one as a beginner. I don't think that I'm at a spot yet now, currently either, that I would repurchase this one just because my um, coloring style and my techniques and development just aren't at the part to do these pages justice yet. So next is a couple of books by the same artist, and it's Airy. Now, I really, really like this art style, and that's why I got these books, is because I was drawn to the art style. Now, I colored one Airy page, I think ever, and it was this one, and I followed a color along. And yeah, I enjoyed coloring these and following the color along. But anytime I've come to do a page on my own without following the color along, I just have no idea where to start with these ones. Again, kind of the big spaces feel intimidating to me. I know that a lot of people use different mediums in these books, which I think is probably a great idea. I'm just not sure which mediums to use. I just don't know where to start. And that's basically the issue I'm running into with all my Erie books. I actually have one more that's not in the stack because it's in my April plans. But I love the pages and I don't want to get rid of them. I just need to get over the hump of getting started, because I think if I could do one page that I did feel really good about and felt like was really successful, and it's not that I don't think the page I did in this one wasn't successful, but if I could do my own thing and feel successful, I think I would feel more motivated to come to these books. However, if I were starting over again from a place that I was at a year and a half ago, I think I would probably wait until now to repurchase or to purchase these books. Okay, so those are some of the books that I would not rebuy as a beginner. Let's talk about some of the books that I would buy as a beginner. Now, these are books that if you're just starting out, I feel like they are some of the best places to start. I also think that if I were to start all over again, if I'd never colored before or was kind of at the place that I was a year and a half ago when I was just getting back into coloring and it was just starting to stick, I would start with these books. The first is, well, more these illustrators, I guess, because any of their books I think would work. The first is Camilla Derrico. Now, I did not get her books for a long time. So I got her books later in my coloring journey. And if I redid things, I would get them earlier because they are kind of that gray scale. So they help you know where to put shadows and where to put highlights. They're also pretty like simple images in a way. I think a lot of people get intimidated by her books because of the backgrounds, but I also think that these are some of the easier backgrounds to do because there's not a ton going in the background that you're trying to work around. They just have kind of these open backgrounds, so you can do soft pastels or Neocolor 2 or something that is just quick and easy. Or you can do no background at all. I think that that's probably something that I wish I would have given myself a little bit more grace with as a beginner is knowing you don't have to do a background, because I definitely, even today, still avoid pages because I think I have to do a background. So yeah, I think Camellia Derico's artwork is great if you're just starting out. Fun, easy pages. They have grayscale sort of feel, a little bit different than the grayscale I'm going to show you later on, but that really does help kind of know where to put your highlights and shadows, which I feel like as a beginner is one of the hardest things, at least for me, that I've had to learn. Next is Kirby Roseanne's. I didn't grab all my books by him, but just a couple. Worlds Within Worlds and Fragile World. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this, but Kirby's books are the same. So the way he does his line art, he shows you where to put your darker colors and your lighter colors. And so I do feel like that makes his pages more beginner friendly, even though on the outside they may not look that way. And I think that's why it's helpful if you are a beginner to watch other coloring videos and hear other people talk, because if I was just seeing these pages as a beginner with no context, I might not understand that his line work actually helps a lot to know where to put different highlights and shadows. He also has pages, like this that don't require much of a background, and then he has pages that might require more of a background. So And then I'm sure everybody has seen these books, but just a quick look at the animals. This is a great book, again, if you are wanting to get better at doing animals, because you have his line art to kind of show you where colors go. You could practice fur. So, great book for beginners who want to color more animals. Next is some more grayscale books. It's Christine Caron. Now, I also waited a long time, not a long time, but I didn't jump right into these books when I saw people coloring in them, because I was a little deterred from the portrait style, but now I love them. The paper quality in these books is amazing. Um, Even if you're not into portraits, I think that it's really, at some point, you're probably going to color skin. I highly, highly recommend these books to practice coloring skin. And there's lots of other elements too, like wings and different creatures. So there's lots of different things to practice in these books. And the grayscale, again, helps you know where to put your shadows and highlights, which is especially helpful for skin. I still have not done, I don't think, a portrait that is not grayscale because of that, because it's so helpful to have the grayscale to know where to put different highlights and shadows. So I think Christine Caron is an awesome choice, specifically any of these two books or the other one, Wondrous Folk. Great choices if you're a beginner starting out, because the paper quality is great. Really, I haven't really heard pencils that don't work great in these books. So, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with those. And then the last artist I have to show you for books I would rebuy as a beginner are Ella Jarzabek books. Now, I have a couple other ones, but I'll just show you these ones. There's something about Ella Jarzabek's artwork, and yes, it says for kids, but they're pretty detailed. And as I'm going to say, there's something about Ella Jarzabek's work that is like simple, but still detailed enough to make it like enjoyable as an adult, I guess. I mean, look at all the details on this page alone. So yeah, I really, really love all of her artwork, and I love the way that the books are single-sided. My favorite thing to do is base with alcohol markers and then come in with pencils over the top, which has worked really well. So yeah, and they're a great size. I just don't think that you can go wrong with these books either, and I think that as a beginner they are really super fun to color. So those are books that I would not and would rebuy as a beginner. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you are just starting out with coloring, or you're on what you might consider more of the beginner side, and you don't have some of the books that I showed you for books I would rebuy, consider getting some, because I do think that the starting out with the more beginner friendly books, when things go well in them, you feel more motivated and you build up your confidence, which then just gets you to a place where you do start to tackle those harder books. And you don't want to just buy books that are going to sit on your shelf. So it's always good to start with some of those more beginner friendly books. I think that that's something that I definitely would redo, is kind of rewind, go back to some more beginner friendly books, build up my collection with those, color in those more, and then start to branch out from there into some of the harder books that I'm working in now. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I hope to see you next time. More videos and more things coming your way. Bye, everybody. Happy coloring.